Okay, guys, here we go with another one. This is Dragon versus Leela Chess Zero, and this one's a bullet game, but 2 minutes with 1 second increments. So not like real bullet, and they're engines. So this is like really high level chess. Okay, perfect. Let's see this. We got a E4 and E6, a French solid, and also you don't have to worry about the bishop on C8 many times. So D4, D5, Knight C3, and Bishop B4 with a win hour variation of the French, and pushing E5, which is definitely theory, 100%. Many, all the years. E5 has been played. You can also take. I mean, you have other moves and Bishop D3 too. E5 is the standard. 97, you usually see C5. Sometimes you can wait to play C5, but 97 was played here. And in A3, a true win hour here, one of the main lines, A3, Bishop takes C3, B takes, and then playing C5, right, which hits the structure. The queen usually comes out this way. For black, you also put it on A4 to stop a potential A4, because that's how white activates the dark square bishop. Lots of plans and ideas. Understanding the ideas and the plans is even better than obviously understanding or memorizing the moves, and that should just be in every opening, not just the French. But after the C5 move, there's this move that Dragon, kind of in a way, I thought of this being a troll move, being like, Leela Chess, I know you like to do this, so I'm gonna do it to you. H4, says Dragon, because Leela loves to push the H pawn. So H4, I thought this was an absolute human troll move from Dragon. Dragon knows that Leela Chess Zero loves H4, so he plays it himself against Leela Chess Zero. So H4, B6, right, with ideas of getting rid of the bishop here. H5, and then H6, okay, but right, sometimes you'll see Bishop H6 too, but he wants to stop the space grabbing move. A move you always see in the Frenches, especially this one in particular, is Queen to G4, attacking this pawn. And you always, you just prefer to be white in these positions. At least I do many times, because like you just feel like you're attacking and black's just defending, and which is a great game. Like I always want to attack and I always want them to defend. So Queen G4 and King F8, he steps out of the way, and then here we go. Remember, we talked about this A pawn move, and of course the queen can't stop. Usually in many lines, you'll see the queen come to A5 to attack the pawn and play Queen A4 to stop the expansion of A4, again highlighting the fact that we can get the bishop out this way. What does Dragon do? Play A4. And after King G8, he plays Bishop B5. Whoa, wait, huh? Wait a second. What the heck is this? In fact, I said the same thing. I was like, what is this? In fact, the engine, the other engine, right, Stockfish, is like, what is this move? Bishop B5. Now, look, okay, this is a movie you can't find, but I mean, it's just a hard move to make. You're not hitting anything ever, ever. The king, it's almost like he forgot that the king did move. Like the king's on G8, right, Dragon? You know it's on G8, right? You know it's on G8, G8, right? So Bishop B5 was definitely a strange move, but it makes sense if you think about it, I guess, objectively as a deep thinking kind of move. Bishop B5. What this does is, okay, we can get rid of our bishop, but it also stops maybe, but it actually doesn't stop knight c6. Like this is definitely what you will call more of one of the engine moves. But you also want to figure out where you want to develop it. Humans, I mean, we could put it on E2. The problem with putting it on D3 is the C4 option, locking the bishop down, and then you have to move it again. We could probably play, obviously, Bishop D3, but it's not hitting anything. Doing the same thing as doing on B5. In fact, probably one of the better squares is Bishop to E2. But Bishop B5, what a move here. What a move. Bishop B5, man, it's just crazy. It's such a cool looking move, right? Just put the bishop on B5. And it's also sometimes provoking a weakness. Like if A6 happens, well, these become tremendously weaker, right? Bishop B5 is such a deep thinking move, right? So at the Bishop B5, A6 does happen, and then Bishop back to D3. And then he goes A5. But look at the structure now. These are now annoyed. These pawns are a little bit weaker than they were, because when you push a pawn, it can't go backwards. So you do make weaknesses around the pawn that you push. So A5, bishop back to B5. It says, thanks, bro. Appreciate the outpost. And after bishop to D7, we don't have to move anything. Now we finally go bishop to A3, which everything looks kind of great here, right? But this isn't the best part of the game, so let's keep moving. Knight A6, queen E2, bringing the queen back and attacking the knight. That's pretty obvious. Knight C7, I do want to snatch this bishop off, so I'm going to trade him. Bishop takes, and then we see a move, D takes C5. Makes total sense. I want to grab the pawn. It's there, free pawn, so what? Queen C6 with some pressure on the C file. You got triple pawns here. And if you take, I mean, come on now, that's lights out. Queen takes C3, and that's a GG. Have a good day, right? So he doesn't take. So knight F3, right, defends everything, and actually just, not defends, but develops, keeps developing, maybe a castle in the near future. B takes C5, castles, right? And then King H7, Queen d3 check. It feels like, black's gotten out of this. Like, it's just it's a game. In fact, it is a game. White is like +1, but I mean, it's a game. Like, there's weaknesses everywhere. I mean, bishop versus the knights. This isn't, I mean, knight f5, this isn't worse. This isn't terrible for black. After queen d3, g6, right? Rook f to b1. That's a move I was not considering. Rook f to b1, by the way. Rook f to b1, maybe some pressure and trying to keep the queen tied down here. Okay, but rook h to b8, and they trade, take, and then bishop back to c1, threatening threats with h6. King goes over to g7, saying it's nothing, right? It's nothing. It's literally like you don't have anything as white here. The idea here is to actually probably go like rook h8 or even knight g8, which is going to stop a lot of your threats after queen to e3. But this is on you now. You're watching this. It's white to move. What do you think Dragon played in this position? Here it is. Okay, so Dragon figures out, you know what? I want to attack this pawn. That's why I put the bishop here. So, one of the general rules is if you have to attack, right? If you have to attack, you first start with sacrificing. Oh, man, I didn't see that one. You didn't see that one. Bishop takes h6. That's a move, big fella. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Now, Stockfish gives us zeros. But, of course, this ain't no zeros around here, big fella. Bishop takes h6. That's a move. And after takes, queen d2 check. Queen d3 was probably the same. But king h7, after king h7, queen f4. So now we're hitting the pawn, right? And there's weaknesses. If you go king g7, h6, and queen f6, and it could be lights out. Could be lights out. And a quick example, king g7, h6, king g8, queen here, and then knight e8 or knight f5, and you have g4. In fact, a knight f5 runs into h7 check. Oh my goodness. And I think after king takes, knight g5. Wow, this is ridiculous. King here, maybe g4. I think, let me see. Engine says, yeah, g4 and knight takes f7. These are both. I mean, look at the king. This is crazy. But this is what didn't happen. In fact, in the game, let's go back. Queen f4, king g8. King g8, so he went over the king g8 route, right? White plays h6, trying to go with the same idea. Queen f6 threatening mate. If knight e8 will take the bishop. Take the knight here on e7. So queen e8 going back, and then g4 stopping a knight f5. And we want to play queen f6 and go for mate, right? If queen f8, which is very possible here, we could just go knight g5, and this looks very scary for white. Very scary. I mean, you have checks here, like after h7. Oh my goodness! Like, what a sacrifice! That was so strong. After g4, the sacrifice was so strong. And one thing about being up a piece or material is that you can give it back when you want to, or kind of when you don't want to or have to. Knight f5, knight f5, giving it back to bro. Look, I'm sorry if I offended you in any way. I apologize. Knight f5, you can have the piece back. And after knight f5, h7. h7 with a nice little checky poo. What to do there? And king h8 and knight g5. Bring the pieces in the game. We don't care about the knight on f5. I know there's a knight on f5. I know I can take it, but guess what? I don't want it. I don't want it, says Dragon. So after knight to g5, rook to b6. All right. Should we take the knight? Raise your hand. Yeah. No. King g2. Right. Okay. d4. Should we take the knight? It's probably time to take the knight, right? Okay. Let's take the knight. No. c4. So Leela Chess says, okay, I'm tired of this, bro. Like, you're not going to take the knight. I'm going to move it. So knight h4 and then king h2, and then says, you know what? Queen f6 is kind of ugly. Well, if I go queen f8, I do lose on the spot immediately, right? Let's show the line here. I lose on the spot immediately. Oh my goodness, get this off the screen, right? So that doesn't work. It doesn't work. So knight f5. Okay, cool. You can have it. You can have your piece back. Instead of after king h2, I'm going to go knight f5 and bring it back. Now, as white here, you need a plan. Do you take the knight now, chat? Because what do we do, right? Do we keep the knight here, or how do we make progress? Well, Dragon says we take the knight, right? No, rook g1. Okay, queen f8. We have to take the knight, right? There's a check. Come on, bro. Like, we got to take this knight at some point. There's a check here. Like, I mean, we have to take this knight, right? Come on. Queen f8. After queen f8 happens, we don't take the knight. We don't take the knight. Rook g3, which is also threatening rook h3, of course, if a check there. You can also play king g2. But after knight takes being the idea, it's queen check. And here we showed this line before, queen d8 check and knight e8. And mating. Mating. So rook g3. And rook b7 from Leela Chess 0. Perfect. It's probably time to take this knight, finally. or not. Oh my goodness. This knight been here how long? Has this knight been here? Pop quiz, trivia, right? I don't even know. Actually, how long has this knight been here? How many moves? Rook h3, knight goes to e8. Should we take the knight now? We have to take the knight now, right? He's covering the check squares. Yes, you do. You take the knight. You finally take the knight because this check is not available anymore. So him moving the knight means that we would just actually lose. And he also defended this too. So remember, black, Leela Chess 0, was actually doing things. Defending this pawn so I can move the knight. Defending the squares that are checked so I can move the knight. So if you don't take the knight, because I know you was trying to be all fancy and not take the knight for like 17 moves. So when you don't take this knight, you'll be in trouble. So now he has to take it. And after taking, there was a takes and an e6, opening up more lines here, and a knight d6, queen h4, rook b8, right? And from here, guys, we got another 30 moves. So we actually gonna speed this up a little bit because we got 30 moves from here. So okay, rook d8, takes on f7, queen e7, and rook h6, which hits g6 right here. Knight takes f7, rook takes, and then queen d6. Now we're going to have a trade. And this is usually, not usually, but you'll see this a lot in very wild games, especially if you analyze or watch and try to understand very high level games from very, 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 very strong players. What you will see many times is positions that kind of were similar like this, but crazy razor sharp games where one side, as soon as they trade queens or etc., for them to actually win the game and convert, you actually have to go into an end game where you're just better. It's called simplifying. In fact, sometimes simplifying is the way to go. After queen takes, rook takes, this is just a winning endgame. Now, for a human, this is actually easier than the engine, right? Because right now the engine gives us 1.6, which is not actually, technically in engine standards, not actually winning. It's 1.6. This swings all the time. In human games, analyze your last 7 games, and you'll see the engine swing back and forth, right? And who won what, right? Etc. So it happens all the time. But rook takes f5, rook b6, we bring the king up. And then the rest is kind of clockwork here. We take one pawn, he takes one, we bring the king up. We have one passed pawn, we got 2 passed pawns, we got this one, I mean, really a third, but this one, these are kind of the same. And this one's probably going to fall off, but I mean, at least it can fall off. This one's weak, this one's weak. And I mean, I'm the one pushing for a win. It takes a lot of accuracy here for black to try to draw this. King takes h7, king e4, king g6, take. Now I'm up 2 pawns. Now, of course, this is kind of like 1, but technically, I mean, it is 2 pawns. I can queen both of them if you're not careful. So, all right, king takes d4, king f6, right? And the rest is actually clockwork. King centralized, ahead of this king in a way, basically fast, active. I mean, everything you want in an end game. This rook could also help defend many things. You got to watch this pawn. I mean, this is over. As a human, this is over. King e7, check. King d8, rook h7. And we start pushing that boy. King c6, rest is clockwork. Rook a7, rook a8, check. Bring the king up, almost Lucina style. Almost. Of course, the rook needs to be able to defend, called building a bridge, but that's not even necessary. King b7, rook b check, king to c8, rook b4, c6, king d6, c7, right? And then we're going to check you here and walk out either way, however you want to do it. Doesn't matter to me. Rook c4, check up, check you pull what to do. King e7, stepping out of the way, and rook a7, which is, I mean, this could have been done multiple ways. In fact, guys, you have many ways of doing this. King b8 was a move. Rook a7 was the best, though. And after rook a7, pushing, we don't even have to take the pawn, king b8, and after a light check, rook b7, right? It's funny because after, like, watch this, guys. Rook b7 takes a2, queen. Like, you let them queen and you still win. That's insane. I mean, you would think it's like, I would do something different there. I would not allow them to queen like this. Like, it's not something I want to do here. But of course, king c8 is actually the easiest route. So don't do rook b7. King c8 is better. And you just kind of take the pawn, and it's going to take some precision here. You still will be winning that game if you queen, but not the best and not the most accurate. So, okay, all right. But let's see what happened. King b8, rook b4. And then after rook b4, there was actually rook b7 and rook c4. So there was no capture on b7. There was actually rook to c4, which is kind of strange. I mean, many humans would take this and just go for this and see what happens. But engines are engines. Rook c4, c8 queen takes, and the rest is, this is easy. He didn't even take the queen. He didn't even take the queen, right? King f6. I mean, it's like a tilt moment. Like the engine tilted there. That's kind of funny. Queen takes c4. Okay, king g5, queen d5 check. And I mean, this is easy. This is easy. And that was the most accurate mate, man. How many of you guys would have saw that mate? Queen h1 mate. Wow, that's a crushing French defense from Dragon there to show you how you can obliterate the French sometimes. I'm going to take a note out of this book from Dragon. pretty nice. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And if you enjoyed this one, well, make sure you check the ones right above me, and we'll see you on the next video.